Okay. And let me see here. Let me just do this over 1 minute. Okay, got it. All right. All right. Let's see. I think we got everything in order. Let me spread my. There we go. All right. Ken Brown, this is Dr. Herbert Harris, and this is another edition of Success Talk.
Wow.
And for our listeners, these talks are designed to talk to people who have been through the fire. As they say, you can't have a testimony until you have a test.
Wow.
People who've been through all of that, and yet, as Maya Angelou said, and still I rise. And so, Ken, welcome to Success Talk, man.
Sir, thank you, man. I'm honored, sir. Always, anytime I get a chance to spend some time with you, man, and glean some of that wisdom, Dr. Harris, I am always humbled, sir. I mean that sincerely too.
Well, I tell you, Ken, if you came into my store, I'd ask you for some ID, man. I might even say you need to go bring a parent with you.
That's too funny. That's funny, baby. My wife will go out. That's so funny. I first met her, man. We would go out to dinner, man, and it was so humbling. We going to these fancy restaurants, man, and then people actually card me. So the God be the glory. It's good genes, man. That's
yes.
The older I get, the way I found out, you could do all the principles, right? But you must know. I think it was Socrates said, "It's thy own self be true." Woo! Come on, somebody.
Yes.
So when you really figure out and understand your gene pool, where you come from, that really helps you better understand how you got to take care of yourself, and begin with the end in mind. You know where you're gonna end up. You could change it a little bit, but my father, I'll never forget. My father, I used to look at him, and I used to get so frustrated, Dr. Harris. We used to go out, and my father, then we go out places. They say, "How you doing? This is your brother." I used to always get mad at that, but now it happens with my sons, man. So
now you understand.
I understand, and I appreciate it, sir.
Beautiful. Well, Ken, I have known you, and I think have been blessed to watch your growth over the years. And if you could give our listeners just a little about your background, how you started out and how you got where you are, because that's a story that I've shared in many of my seminars, just how you started out and how you had the thing I used to love about you was your attitude, how you had that attitude that made you just shine, and people saw it and they helped you out. So give a little background, Ken.
That's so powerful. I like to always start by saying, and I appreciate that. Life is 10% what happens to you, but it's 90% how you choose to respond to it. I just get excited every time I say that. And so that being the essence of what we started, I'm a product of teenage parents. I'm born in Chicago. My mother and father were 13 and 14 when they started having babies. Now, if you really think about that, the world, the odds, statistics told us that we wasn't going to amount to anything. But my parents always told us this. And it's funny, you told me the same thing when I met you. And you still say this. You can be what you want to be, do what you want to do, have what you want to have. Freedom has a price. As long as you're willing to pay the price to be free, you can do it. And they taught me that, both in words and deeds. Being 13 and 14, having by the age of 20, they had 5 kids under 8. Now, once again, they should have gave up, but they didn't. They put us in private school. I mean, then my mother and father wound up getting a divorce. And I think it's very important. My father divorced my mother, but he never divorced his children. Isn't that powerful? Real true.
Now say that again, Ken. I think that's one of those stones.
Yep, my father divorced my mother, but he never divorced his children. What does that mean, Ken? My father didn't live in a house with me, but he was never, ever, ever, ever out of my life. Every Sunday, every Wednesday, he came and picked us up, took us with him. I've been able to travel all over, and 90% of the places that I've been to travel, my father took me because he was into politics. So he could take us around if you wanted to. Not all of us went, but I've always been one that always wanted to be more, do more. So that's very important to understand that, because when people hear my story, I want them to understand that you can't be what you can't see. Very important. You can't be what you can't see. So my father, once again, we lived in poverty, Dr. Harris, but I think it's very important to understand my parents never allowed us to adopt a poverty mindset, period. They never allowed poverty to live in us. They always made sure that we always had access to opportunities, that they set us up for success, that they made sure that they gave us the opportunity to be successful, whatever that meant. And that was the beautiful part. So the one thing they told us, though, I never forget this. They said that education is the way out of poverty. So when you become 17 years old, either you going to college or you getting out of my house. They set the bar right then.
That's right.
They set the bar. You know, they set the standard for us. And it's so interesting. All 5 of us went to college. 3 of the 5 got master's degrees, Doc. That's very important.
Mm-hmm.
Think about born to teenage parents, evicted 10 times, but still we were able to, because my parents set that expectation and set that in our mind. So for me, my father wanted me to be a doctor. My mother wanted me to be a lawyer. But I didn't want to do that. I didn't like school. I only went to school because they told me I had to. And so, but my father was a chef. And one day I was talking to one other day, and my father one day woke me up on a Saturday morning and took me and my brother to his place of employment, which is the Hyatt Hotel. And I never forget, we were going to pick up his paycheck, and he went and took us into this kitchen. And I walked into that kitchen and hearing the pots, the pans, and the chef with the white coat, I fell in love with hospitality. Oh my goodness. Then when I went to college, I majored in food and nutrition. I knew what I wanted to do. Doc, I wanted to own Ken's hot dog stands. Oh my goodness, yes I did. I wanted to own Ken's hot dog stands.
Well, Ken, let me stop you a minute, because man, you dropping bombs. You know, you know, in the club they say drop the mic. When people drop a bomb in church, they say pass the collection plate. Okay, but you said something very powerful, and I think it's important. You said we lived in poverty.
Yes.
But poverty didn't live in us.
No, not at all.
No. God, yes.
And now I can quantify that, what that means. And I can tell you now, because life is live looking forward, learn looking backwards. I can't tell you that I understood that. But what they did was, like, for instance, for 1 year, we didn't have lights. We didn't have gas. We got evicted 10 times. But my mother they did not allow us to have a poverty mentality. They told us that we're just going through this. Talk about being an overcomer. And so that was very powerful, because some people, they go, no disrespect, they put us in a private school, but their friends were telling them, girl, take them kids out of private school. Go move to the projects where you got low rent. My mother did the opposite. She exposed us to different things that was 2-3 steps ahead of us. Why? Because she knew the power of environment. Do you agree with that? One thing I think I've read in your book, or you taught me, that your environment is stronger than your will. Woo, come on, somebody, isn't it? Your environment is stronger than your will. So my parents didn't have money as a resource, but they threw every other resource at us. That makes sense. And so, but I gotta say that thank God I caught it. All I needed was that one ray of hope. Woo, that's so powerful, isn't it?
Yes.
And that's all they gave me. They couldn't give me the beautiful cars, the large houses. We had nice houses, but we didn't stay there long. But one thing they gave me with these 2 things, they gave us faith and hope.
Well, you know, there's an Arabian proverb that says, he who has health has hope. He who has hope has everything.
Wow, that is so rich. And it's so funny, Doc, because I always believed it. Hope is being able to see past the day. And that's all they gave us, is just another day of hope. And I took that and I used those 2 foundations. And I never forget, true story, when I real quickly, I never forget, mother told me we had to go to college, but I wasn't a good student. I never forget, she taking us to the welfare department, not to get money, but to get resources, like to get into college. I never forget, this gentleman looked at me, and he looked at my transcripts and my grades and said, Mr. Brown, according to your transcripts and your grades, he said, you're not college material. I was like, now that was diabolically opposed to what my parents had told me.
Yes.
And I never forget, Doc, what I did was I didn't get mad. I didn't get mad. I didn't get disappointed. I went home. I took out a loose piece of paper and a pen. I wrote a letter to Southern Illinois University Carbondale, said, my name is Ken Brown. Here's my grades. Here's my transcripts. And at very important, I said, this is not a true indication of my potential. Wow. And all I want is I want to get an opportunity to come into this college. And in 3 weeks, I got a letter from them and said, Ken Brown, you have been admitted into SIU Carbondale. Now, people don't know this, but I'm gonna say this for you, that they admitted me under special admissions. I was on
Okay.
academic probation, but nobody knew that but me.
Yes.
They gave me an opportunity. And we talk about success. Success is when preparation meets opportunity. Everything I had done in my life prepared me for that opportunity. And I went on, got off probation the first semester. And I majored in food and nutrition. So I went on once I matriculated. I wanted to own my own business one day, truly, but I didn't have the money. And so I went and I took a job. I called a paid internship because the mindset is different. So a job, you would change dollars for hours, but a paid internship, you learn, earn, and move on. And so for me, I took that.
You got to repeat that. I'm telling you, Ken, you dropping diamonds, man. Just like, you know, they had the royal funeral today. Were you dropping diamonds just like they were dropping diamonds off that coffin? So say that again.
So the mindset again. So for me, because I knew begin with the end in mind, I knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I knew I wanted to own my own restaurant. I have a name, but I didn't have the resources. So I started to, my parents taught me by living in poverty is that we were resource rich. So they taught me at an early age how to identify and take full advantage of every resource. So I looked at college only as a resource to leverage. And then the same thing with jobs. A job was not something I'm going to camp out, get the 40-40 plan. It was a paid internship mentally. I would go there, clock in and clock out, but my mindset was always, this is temporary. I'm going to go in, I'm going to earn, I'm going to learn, and then at some point, I'm going to move on. And I executed that all throughout. And so I never forget when I matriculated, my first job out of college, I was assistant food service director of Aramark. And I was very excited. And I worked there for 6 months. And a lady named Mary, my director, came in one day, Dr. Harris, and unbeknownst to me, fired me, told me, you gotta go. No write-up or nothing. And that was a game changer for me. Because that one thing right there, being a young African-American from the concrete jungle of Chicago, that really could have stopped me, stalled me, got me being disappointed, frustrated. It did not. On the converse, because of what I went through growing up, I became an adversity expert. Life is 10% what happens to you and 90% how you choose to respond to it. After I went through the process of grieving all that, I had great people around me to say, Ken, no, get up. And my mindset shifted. Mary didn't fire me, she freed me. Watch how it ends up. So after I got free from that job, I went to a minority job fair in Chicago, and Wendy's saw my resume and brought me on. Now, my first job, I was making $19,500 a year. I thought I was rich. I mean, no, $18,500, literally. In 1988, after graduating, I thought I was rich. Got fired from that job. 6 months later, got recruited by Wendy's. They gave me $25,000. So I got fired, but got a raise. Come on, somebody. Once again, perspective.
Yes.
And at that point in time, after your parents telling you go to college, get an education, and you thought that was success, that was my first life lesson. That was my parents, good people, but taught me the wrong thing. That was not true. I went to college, I got a degree, I did everything right, but life has still fired me, so to speak. So then I made my mind that I'm the master of my fate. I'm the captain of my soul. My destiny is going to be in my control. So then that's when I started to adopt those paid internships. And so then I with Wendy's even, I said, I'm going to learn, earn, and move on. I started doing that. Then fast forward, after doing that for a few years, I took a job with an entrepreneur serving tables because I wanted to build my first house. And so I worked on the weekends to work serving tables. And unbeknownst to me, a lady was watching me. Her and her husband had been coming to this restaurant for 2 years, and I had the opportunity to serve them. Then the husband and wife used to always ask me questions. Say, Ken, something different about you. It's so fun. That's a very powerful question. Something's different about you. I look the same, but I didn't think, I didn't speak, and I didn't act the same. That makes sense?
Absolutely.
So I said, something different about you. And they saw that just in my interaction of serving them. And so the husband said, something different about you. I said, well, you know what? I'm not ready to serve. I want to open my own restaurant one day. I didn't say I want to, I'm going to. And when I told him the name, every week they would come to that restaurant and him and his wife would request me. And they would ask me questions. Ken, how's Ken's hot dog stand coming? That was the power of vision right there. That's when I learned the power of vision, because write the vision, make it plain. Those who read it will run with it. It will not tarry. Woo, that's powerful, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
I cast a vision to them. Lo and behold, that lady was the vice president of McDonald's, and she wound up walking me to Fleet Bank of Boston, getting me $3 million so I could become the youngest owner operator of 2 McDonald's franchises. And that's in a nutshell. And that really was the start of things in my life just changing. But that's a true story. So once again, born to teenage parents. And what's up? The Bible tells us that it says, be careful because you might be entertaining angels unaware. That manifested in my life, because once again, let me go back. We lived in poverty, but this was the manifestation of my parents not allowing poverty to live in us. Can I tell you why, Dr. Harris? Because if I did have a poverty mindset, that opportunity, first of all, I would have never been able to recognize it. You agree?
Yes.
Secondly, I would have never been able to maximize it. That's why it's important. That was so powerful and profound. What the gift my parents gave us. That makes sense.
Yes.
It wasn't money. They gave me the gift that keeps on giving. Woo! Come on, somebody.
they planted a seed in you that grew into a lifestyle.
Wow, that's powerful.
Yes, sir.
That's rich, isn't it?
I tell you, I felt the chill on that one, Ken. You know, when I hear that story, I think that stories have a way of healing people.
Wow.
When there's a young man, some young lady who will hear that story, and when you look at the metrics that the system gives, know, because you're born here, because you don't have this, because you haven't been there, the system puts together this false narrative, which you can either accept or reject.
Wow.
And you rejected it. And I think back to when I first met you. Now, Ken, how did you connect up with the 12 universal laws of success? Where were you at that point in your life when you encountered the book the first time?
You really want to ask that question for Dr. Head? That's powerful. Can I be totally transparent with you?
Yes.
My father, now fast forward, become a McDonald's owner, not just one, but 2 of them, 150 employees, $5 million coming through the bank. You talk about the pinnacle in your life. And my father, can I go back? My father, who, when I first got my opportunity, McDonald's asked me a question. I'm in a room by myself, no lawyer, no CPA, me signing a franchise agreement. And McDonald's asked me a question: who's on your team? I didn't have a team, but I had a dream. Woo, come on, somebody. So my mind went to my family. My father was a chef. He knew operations. I said, my father, go move from California, come here and work in my company. But my father came in my company. I had to fire my father because he was scared. When I got that loan, he was there and he saw that I got a loan for $3 million and I had to pay back $27,000 debt service. We were there at a meeting. He came with me. When he saw it, he called a timeout in the meeting and went and took me in the hallway and said, Ken, what are you doing? You can't sign that. So then that night I went home and I prayed, and I knew that God had blessed me with something that was bigger than me. And my prayer was, God, enlarge my territory. See, sometimes you get opportunities that's bigger than you, bigger than your bank account, bigger than your skill set, bigger than your mindset. So, but that makes you grow. But my father was scared. See, I was scared, but I was courageous, because courage is acting in spite of fear.
Yes.
So I needed someone. So long story short, the next day I sat my father down and said, Dad, I love you, but I think I made a mistake. I want to pay you for the rest of the year. I bought him a brand new Jeep and said, you got to go back home to California, because I need you scared and I can't be scared. He wasn't happy. So long story short, 2 years later, I get a call that my father has colon cancer, stage 4. So talk about having systems and infrastructure, because I had committed to my business for those few years. I had great systems, great infrastructure, and I'm a great leader with all due respect. I believe that you take care of your people and they take care of your business. So I had set up a good infrastructure. So I was able to go and be with my father for almost 6 months by his side while he went through that transition. Now, going through an airport from Detroit to Chicago to Florida, California, I love books. I'm an avid reader. So I go into the bookstore when the airports, and I see this golden book. And I picked the book up. And you know what got me was the title. No pitch, no nothing.
Uh-huh.
12 and up. I was in my own mind, I was already successful. Picked that book up. I never forget, went to California in my father's hospital room. I'm reading that book. I couldn't put it down. I'm making notes, highlighting in it, all that. And that's where I saw your name in there. And then back then, Google wasn't even popular then. Wasn't popular. I come back home after my father had made his transition, and I had the opportunity to teach at a junior college in Michigan, entrepreneurship. And they gave me the opportunity to put together my own curriculum and pick my own resources. So I chose your book. And then you don't know this, but I chose your book before I even knew you or even called you. So then I'm teaching out of your book, full blown. Then one day, like third week of class, I asked the students, I said, they really, really enjoyed the information. And I taught it straight out of your book. Then I don't know what, Dr. Harris, I don't know what made me think. I said, how would you all like I would not lie. I'm telling you from my heart, this happened. I said, how would you all like to have the author of this book come and teach one of the sessions? And all of them raised their hand. I put myself in the corner then. I got in my car after class. I went to back your book. I called your office and left you a message and said, hey, I have your book. I'm using your book and I would love to have you come and teach it. And you, to my surprise, accommodated me. And came and taught the class. Remember that? That was so powerful.
Yes, I remember that.
Yes, that's how we see. I'm telling you, oh, that's powerful, isn't it? That is, Ken, I can't make that up, Doc.
You can't. No, that's it. Those scripts write themselves, man. You can't make that. Has to come straight from the creator.
Wow, and that is so true. That's how it happened.
But you know something that I noticed. You picked me up. You had the Mercedes was it truck, the G something, that big one, right?
Sure, it's beautiful, yeah.
And you picked me up and you took me by one of your restaurants.
Wow.
And there was some paper in the yard.
Come on now.
And you got up and you picked the paper up and put it in the trash can.
Wow.
And that said to me, this is a whole nother type of person.
No, you believe it. Can I tell you, can I stop that? You know how powerful that is? Just today, I have a client that's 13 franchises. He got a contract with me through leadership development, but I just can't do that because I'm an operations guy. So I'll drive by. Today, I had one of my colleagues with me and pull up to one of the restaurants, and guess what happened? There's white paper out. It's not even mine. I get up and I pick it up. You should have saw my friend. Like, what are you doing? It's just, that's so powerful. You know what? A friend of mine told me years ago something about your life. It says, my standard has no room for compromise. Come on, I'll say it again for you. My standard has no room for compromise. My taste is simple. I only accept, deliver, and expect the best. Whoa, come on, somebody.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It's so powerful.
Well, you know, my dad said, he says, you don't have to come up to my standards, but I will not come down to yours.
And that is the model that, yes. And that served me so well. That's so funny because you never know. I never knew that you saw. That was not no show. That was an actual core value of mine. That makes sense.
Yes.
Wow.
Well, you know, Ken, one of the things, and I think you've demonstrated it 2 or 3 times tonight, is that you live your life in authenticity.
Wow.
You live your life as you feel it, as you know it's right.
Yeah, that's true.
Many times your greatest contribution is just to be an example to somebody you don't even know.
Wow.
Somebody standing over in the corner seeing you says, I can do that. Says, I'm special. One time, many years ago, I was in a jam and I was sitting in a closing. My partner had left me. I mean, he had disappointed me, and he was supposed to show up with $5,000. And I've given every excuse I can. I've looked at my watch, my clock. I mean, I'm looking out the window, and this deal's getting ready to fall through. And I got a lot of stuff. You know, one of those kind of deals that if you don't close, you lose your money.
Yeah.
I looked out the window and I saw an elderly man that I knew walking down the street, a businessman in Harlem, well known, a famous man. And the one thing you know in life is when you need something, go to somebody who's got it. He was a black millionaire.
You always said that. That's
It's
powerful.
about 3:30 in the afternoon. I step out of the meeting and say, excuse me a second. I go across the street. I catch him by the next corner and I tell him, I said, sir, I need $5,000. Can I borrow it? I got this deal going. They're up in the room. And he said, but the bank is closed. And I said, but you're the chairman of the board. We went back, opened the bank. He got $5,000 from me. Save,
Wow.
save my butt, man. So
Wow.
when I went back to pay him, I said, sir, I said, what made you loan me that money? I said, because I was desperate.
Wow.
He said, I saw how you took care of your uncle.
Come on, Doc. Come on, man. That's so you know what? That is so powerful. That's real. Can I
That's
share something
real.
with
Yes.
that? I go back to on the same note. This is a principle. You taught me about living a driven life.
Mhm.
I mean, always, it's so disciplined, that focus, vision, all that. You'll understand how that being a young guy, that was it made the foundation, it was so powerful. So let me tell you how powerful that is. So remember going back to the story, the lady in the restaurant, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, she was a vice president of McDonald's. So at that time, you taught me, you said success is when intentions collide.
Mm-hmm.
I think you taught me that, is it not?
Yes. Yes.
Success is when intentions collide. That would happen. Our intentions collided. I wanted to own my own restaurant. Unbeknownst to me, she was in the process of getting promoted to the vice president of McDonald's in this region. So she was open and I was open and we came into contact. Now, look, she didn't know me. Look, Dr. Harris, she didn't know I was born to teenage parents.
Mm-hmm.
She didn't know no background check on me. She watched me. She saw how I was taking care of that man's business. Look, see, I always say this: in order to get promoted to the next level, you got to get overqualified in your current position. Let me tell you something she told me. Fast forward. Now, she used her influence, her name, to go to Fleet Bank of Boston, which is Bank of America now, and say he's good for it. $3 million. Now, I had to pay back $27 a month. Fast forward 2 years ago, my wife and I went to Florida to see my partner. And she had never shared this before, Dr. Harris. We're sitting there, her husband and her, me and my wife and her sister, and I had one partner there. We having dinner and talking. And she said, you know what? I want to say something. She said, I didn't know Ken. She told the whole story. She said, Ken don't know this, but I was newly promoted to vice president and moving to a new area. She said, I put my total career name. She told me this. She said, I put my total 30-year McDonald's career on Ken Brown's name because she let me buy 2 high-profile stores, put together a nice package, but moreover, I got that loan. That was so powerful. So what you said, she did it because she saw how I took care of that man's business. Isn't that powerful?
That's right.
Woo, that's so rich. I never knew that about you. That's so see, principles are so powerful, aren't they? Because they don't matter. You don't have to be aware of them. They always showing up. But when you tap into them, it's game over. Kiss the baby.
It's game over. Woo! That's it. Yes, sir. Like you never seen gravity, but don't jump out the window and expect to fly.
That is so rich.
Wow.
Thanks for sharing that. I never knew that. That's that's people need to hear that.
Yes.
Both stories, people focus so much on money, focus on building character, skill set, commitment, discipline, and the money's on the other side. Do you agree with that?
Absolutely. Because you know what, Ken? Money is just a vibrational, it's a relationship between your vibration, and your vibration is what you create with your desire, with your skill set, with your attitude. All that is a part of your vibration, and that's what attracts the money.
Wow.
You don't work for money, you attract money. You attract conditions into your life. So I've spoken about you so many times because I just knew. I remember your first book was From Welfare to Faring Well.
Yes, man.
And then your next book was Living in Freedom Every Day.
Woo! No, that is my gift, man, to the life. Just those.
Now, Ken, one question I love to ask when you look at the 12 universal laws of success, was there any one portion that jumped out that just sort of, that was the one you kind of, it did something, it spoke to you, said something special?
Yeah, the power, without a doubt, the law of vision.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Mm-hmm.
that one it's so true. You cannot dispute that. All of them, but that one for me, because that one came true in my life. Once again, you cannot be what you can't see. That's what the law, that's my foundation for my life, is everything. Success starts here.
Yes.
The vision. If you cannot see it, and in the book you talk about that success, you have to be, success, you have to have a clear vision of what you want to be.
Yes.
So and now can I go back? Remember when I met, I knew that I didn't go to college just to be a student at large. I went to college to major in food and nutrition, the power of vision.
Yes.
Then I took jobs in the food space, the power of vision, because I had to see it. I had to see myself. I mean, all the people I role model, I would take these not job opportunities, but then that vision would kick in. I would see them doing it, then I would envision myself. Write the vision, make it plain. Those readers will run with it. That is the one that to this day, Doc, I still, and you know what's so funny? People perish for lack of vision. Once again, people think it's relationships, it's resources. No, it's something that we can control. Vision is something that, it's a principle that we can all have access to.
And control it. Yes.
Control it.
And well, Ken, your parents gave you the opportunity to live in vision. See, and I think that's the difference.
Wow.
Because they never let you live in your reality, and they never let you live in your surroundings. No, they always had you living in your vision. I remember once you told me, I think you said you'd come home on the bus and they were evicting you all and putting your stuff out. And you said, your mom said, we're looking for a new place. We need a bigger place. We're getting out of here.
I can't believe you remember that. That's a true story. So once again, I've always been inquisitive. So when you get evicted, it's a process. I never forget the notice being on the refrigerator. But my mom was a woman of faith, and she had a vision. Her vision was always bigger than our circumstances. And so you're right. It's funny. I unconsciously saw that every day. Yes. And so I never forget, literally, when we every day wake up in the morning, this is our existence. We going to a private school paying money. Couldn't afford to pay the rent, but she made sure that we paid for that school. Vision. She had a vision. Not about now. She didn't sit down and tell us that, but she lived it out. Now, I never forget, I'm not stupid. I would see on the eviction notes on the refrigerator. So every morning we had to call the sheriff's department. How you doing? This is Brown, 12243 South Bishop. Are we on the list? We learned that system way back then. System means save yourself time, energy, and money. Woo! Come on, somebody. So we get up every, Doc, I can't make this up. We get up every morning before we went to school. And when we called, we had a plan. If we call, we on the list, we got to mobilize. If we not, go to school. Get up. And one day we forgot up and we got that. Dr. Karras, let me tell you something. One of the worst thing, one thing that taught me was never get comfortable. We got comfortable because after about a month, we would call, ain't on the list. The one day we didn't call, we went to school with our guards down. And that's when Jerome, our next door neighbor, came in the lunchroom and said, Kenny, you got to come home because you're being evicted. And because my mom told us the vision, she said, we not getting evicted. We moving to a bigger house down the street. So when Jerome said that in front of the whole cafeteria, I didn't lie. I said, Jerome, we ain't getting evicted. We moving. He didn't get it. He said, wait a minute, Doc, I'd already cast the vision. He didn't get it. Guess what he said? He said, Ken. He said, your stuff outside. But I still say, Jerome, we moving. And guess what? We got evicted. But guess what? With that next week, we went to a 4-bedroom house. So that's so rich you said that they did. They allowed us to really, and sometimes, Doc, you believe this? Some parents, I see this all the time. Some parents, they don't allow their children to live in vision. So their children grow up without a vision. You agree with that?
Yes.
And they controlled by their environment or their circumstances. And that's the lesson that going through that taught me is life is 10% what happens to you, but it's 90% how you choose to respond to it. That became so empowering. That made me turned me into a adversity expert, because it also taught me that you're going to go, the Bible tells us, in the world you'll have tribulations, but be of good cheer because you've overcome the world. That, woo, come on, bring it on.
That's it now.
Bring it on.
You know what? The purpose of tribulations, the purpose of challenges, and I'm going to ask you in a moment, what do you see was your biggest 1 or 2 challenges and how you overcame them? But the purpose of challenge is to bring out greatness.
Wow.
If there was no Goliath,
no David,
we would never be talking about David.
Wow.
And so as people move through life, the more challenges you have, you literally draw challenges into your space. Wow. Because your mind, your subconscious, your purpose knows that you need to move up your game.
Wow.
You say there's a hunger inside you to move to the next step, to move on up. And the only way it can get you to do it is to bring you a challenge.
That is so rich. That is so rich. And that was my life. Right? I believe too, I look at it too, like when you go through something, if you don't, what you're saying, if you go through something and you don't grow through it, that's why you end up going through it over and over again. That's what you talk right there.
Yes.
Ooh, that's so powerful.
Yes. Now, Ken, in your life,
run from them. But then when you look at people who run from them, they don't grow, because you're right. It builds character. It's not, you know what? Never say that it's going to be nice. I can tell you one thing. On the other side of it, I've gotten wisdom, knowledge, understanding, experiences, and those all I can exchange for currency. Always.
Yes, always. That's the richness. Wow. And see, that's that spiritual meaning of the Bible, that when you overcome that obstacle, you now become the king of your environment.
Wow.
David became king. You know, there was a king, but once David dispensed with Goliath, he was the man. But he couldn't do that until he had faced the challenges. And so when you look at your life, were there 1 or 2 challenges, that David and Goliath moment where you just had to step back and it's like when you watch the bullfight, and when the matador is standing there with the knife, the sword, he's gonna kill that bull, and that bull shakes his head and digs his hoof in the sand, and then he charges. And sometimes the matador doesn't, the bull takes the matador out. There's a reason why the matadors get paid a lot of money, because a lot of bulls have taken a lot of matadors, giving them an opportunity to meet Jesus when they least expected it. Okay.
I have my moment. If I can say mine now, when I look back at the story about being born to teenage parents, that wasn't my story. That was my parents' story. And I had to come to realize that. So that was theirs. I had to go through it, but I was still young. Mine came after you achieved so much success at the pinnacle of your career, I thought. And then one day I came home, and I mean, I'll be transparent with you.
Yes.
I said three beautiful sons, beautiful. You came to my house, beautiful house.
Yes.
And everything is going well in my mind. And then I come home, and my wife took my youngest son to the amusement park with their friend, and I got my 2 oldest sons there, and we at the house, big beautiful house, 6,000, 5,000 square feet house, and we're relaxing, and I'm watching a football game with my son, opening up mail, and I opened the letter up, and the letter said, "You need to hire me as an attorney because your wife has filed for divorce in the court." And I was like, you talk about, I can't describe that feeling. See, and I felt at that point in time, you know what I felt like? The first thing I felt was, I felt like a private failure, but a public success.
Wow.
You know how long that haunted me, Doc?
Yeah.
Going across the world, traveling, writing books, speaking, got employees, millions of dollars. But the one thing that really mattered, I thought I failed at it, because she filed for divorce. And then we lived together, no fight, no arguing, didn't even tell me. You talk about, and then because of who I became, who can you go tell that to? So to have to go through that in the dark, woo, come on, somebody.
Yes.
And that was the one that they thought that was going to take me up out of here. It shook my confidence. I'm a confident person.
Yes.
And it's real confidence. I worked on it, right? And I'm humble too.
Yes.
But I started to question everything I had achieved. I was willing to give everything up back to have things like it used to be. But yeah, that was the one for me. Literally.
Wow.
You could, that shook my world. That shook my world. And guess what happened? The enemy, it ain't the enemy, it's life. Guess what? That happened right when I'm retiring. Literally, as I'm retiring, I got served. So what's supposed to be the pinnacle of my career, the crescendo.
Yes.
I said, get out of here. What? Get back.
Yeah.
Talking about to the knees, spread eagle every day, Lord, like David, rip my clothes off, Lord. I can't tell you how many times, Lord, take all this from me, but give me that back. And it's confusion. And then I still got to lead my team. I still got 3 boys watching how I go through this.
Wow.
Woo! You talk about
that's the challenge. That's the heavy. Yeah.
Doc, it's this poem. I'm an alpha. I pledge, and it's this poem from Rudyard Kipling. The test of a man is the fight that he makes, the grit that he daily shows, the way he stands upon his feet and takes life's numerous bumps and blows. Woo! Come on, somebody. I had to. Come on, Doc. Ain't that real?
That's real.
That was the one right there, boy. But you know what? You overcome that, and now on the other side of that taught me how to love somebody unconditionally when they can't love you back. Taught you how to be sacrificial love for my boys because I wanted to talk about and bury their mom, right?
Yes.
Couldn't. I had to stand in the gap because so they can heal.
Yes.
So that was an opportunity for me to grow on the inside. See, I had grew all the accoutrement, but I still had to grow up on the inside.
Wow.
But then, how do a person who's in the light still grow and develop because no time, and it's so funny, guess what? Remember back in the day you took a picture?
Yes.
Develop in the dark.
Yes.
So yes. But I still had to be the light for the people, my business, my clients, and that's when I really, really had to lean a lot on my faith because some of my friends left me. They kept thinking it was me. What did you do? How can you do? But I didn't want to badmouth that. So yeah, that was the one, Doc. That was the one.
Yeah. I remember,
You were that one, Doc, man. I leaned on you, boy. Doc, I would call you, but you were always consistent. It's so funny. Do it. You never gave me fluff. You went back to the you always went back unconscious to the universal laws of success because that is, you go back to those principles work. Literally, you didn't give me fluff. You didn't give me take side. You like, dude, just stay positive. You stay ground, and it was powerful, man. So that was the one right there.
Wow.
Look at it now. But I love, But it was, and you know what, Doc? People ask me all the time, what would you change in your life? You think I would trade that experience in? No, not at all. And at first I was mad because I had to give $1 million in divorce, didn't bring my family up. You know what? I done made that, Mr. Dr. Harris. So that's the thing about it. I'm telling you, go through it, run towards challenges. That I don't know nothing in my life right now. I told my father that at 57, got a big, successful, had my family broke up. Then the good thing about it was, guess what? It's so funny. That same person just yesterday, true story, sent me a text yesterday that I want to thank you, Ken, because my middle son took his mom to London. He paid for everything, took her on a trip on her birthday to London for a whole week. And she texted me this morning and said, Ken, I want to thank you for the values that you instilled in our boys. Same one that I thought tried to take me out. She didn't. It wasn't. Think about Judas. And I'm not saying it to Judas either. Sometimes people come to your life to help you grow to that next level. Woo! Come on, somebody.
But think about this. If there had been no Judas, there'd have been no crucifixion.
Yes. And
if there had been no crucifixion, it'd be a whole different world.
Yes. So that's true fiction. Something had to die. And so I grew out of that. And I would think about it 2 years ago. I would never been able to share this with you with all pure heart and all that.
Yes.
But that was in my life. That was the biggest thing because it was my relationship, my partner. I knew from 18 years old. We built it together. It was so many things going on in my mind. And then the biggest thing was, Ken, you not failed. You became a public success, but a private failure because family is first. Yeah, that was
now.
powerful.
That's it. Now let me tell you, that's a heavy lesson. So you have come so far. Can I tell you, man? We're kind of winding down a little bit. You've come so far. And what's the vision now? What's going forward? You're in the car, and we've looked a bit in the rearview mirror. We've seen the conditions, we've seen the challenges, we've seen the growth, and now looking at that big panoramic windshield. Where are you going now? What's next for Ken Brown?
Not being facetious and pretentious, Doc, but continue to live in freedom every day. Because that's the destination. Freedom is always a destination for me. Because when I'm free mentally, spiritually, emotionally, financially, I make better decisions. I'm a better father. I'm a better brother. I'm a better husband. So my destination is just don't let nothing bound me up. Stay free mentally, spiritually, emotionally, and financially. That's and then be able to share. Because then when you're free, you're willing to be able to share all of my rich experiences, Doc.
Yes.
So that's all I want to do, is be able to take those life lessons that I've learned and share them first with my family and friends and anybody else that wants to know through my resource. That's it. I mean, that's really so, and it really shifts to success. I'm all about success, but I think it's the next level, and I'm at that level. I'll be 57 years old in 2 days, or 56 in 2 days. In 2 days.
Wow.
So I don't think about success anymore because I'm at another level. I've nailed success, and I mean that humbly. Now, this level is about significance, sir.
All right now.
Anybody I come in contact with, my goal is to say something different about him. My life is changed. Not I ain't do nothing to you, but just to have that experience, that encounter, by the words I gave, the love I showed, the time I gave you, the attention I gave you, whatever. That, Doc, is the most and I'm not being facetious, Doc. I'm not trying to chase nothing, followers, all that. I'm flying. I'm a stealth bomber. I'm a man, and I'm locked in. I commit to. I'm MIA. I'm MIA, and not missing an action. I'm only committing to intentional actions.
Massive
intentional action. That's going to lead me to freedom. Because I'm telling you, I know what it is to be abound or being basted. Boy, but it's something about freedom, Doc, and I mean that sincerely. It's like when my sons call me, or my wife, or my friends, to have freedom of just to be able to be. It's so funny that Shorty Chisholm, I got a shirt, Shorty Chisholm says something, and it says, unbought and unbossed. Woo! Come on, somebody.
Yes, sir. I remember that. Yes.
You remember that?
Yes.
Unbought and unbossed. That's freedom.
Yes.
You can't buy me. You can't know. And I'm bossed. Come on, somebody that rich, Doc.
Doc,
that's what I'm going, Doc. Freedom is the goal.
Ken, I often ask people, I say, is there any thought that you'd like to leave our audience with? I think you just did it. I don't know if you can go any higher than that, brother. I tell you, that is so rich, because when you're free, when you're unbound, when you have the ability to be intentional and attentional.
That's powerful.
And you choose what to give your attention and your intention to, with only your heart to guide you.
Yeah. Wow.
Woo!
I do have something I want to end with. Can I?
Yes, please.
Now, this is one of the things that I picked this book up the same time I picked your book up, right about the same time, and I got them right by each other. And it's that John Maxwell said something so powerful. The only true freedom each of us have in life is a freedom to choose. the most important choice is who we will become. Dog, life is 10% what happens to you, but my life as an example it's 90% how you choose to respond to it. Your success, your life, your significance is in your hands. I want to tell you, anybody listening to here, live streaming, videotaping, whatever, is that you should make success starts in your mind. When you make your mind like a GPS, when you plant the destination in the DPS, what do you need to activate a DPS? You don't need to know, all you know is one thing, where you're going. Success is the same way. When we program success in our mind,
yes,
and we activate it, the only thing can stop from getting there is you when you push abort.
That's
success
it.
The same way. Family, success
starts
in your mind, and you got to commit to no more excuses, only results.
Only
Come on, somebody died.
well, let me tell you, you have just, number one, kid, I want to add something. You know, I thought about the GPS, and there are two things you need in the GPS. It can tell you, you got to have a destination, but it got to have a location, because that's how it calculates.
You're so correct, sir.
How long it takes you to get there. But you know what? That location requires just what you shared. You got to be honest with yourself.
Wow.
You got to know who you are. You got to know what you're about. You got to know what's important to you.
Wow.
Because once you can do that, then you can go any place you desire.
Beautiful. That is.
Woo!
Man, it's all funny, Doc. It's all, man. I miss this, man. Doc, you don't understand. You will never know. You do know. Came to my wedding, man. You don't understand. You'll miss. It's really powerful, man. Just to have, and I told you before, I'm gonna say this publicly. My father made this transition, and that people come into your life for season, or lifetime. And God knew that I needed a mentor. A mentor is a man to help you tool this thing called life. I made that up. You know what I'm saying? And
Sounds good.
It was like a relay race. My father made his transition, and then this gold book came into my life. You came into my life, and I never missed anything. I'm telling you, Doc, I mean that sincerely. I mean, it ain't just on business level. You have been there to be the voice of reason for me through everything I talked about. Did you not?
Yes. Yes.
When I sold my stores, I called you, consulted with you. You made me look at the numbers.
Yes.
You gave me a thumbs up, right?
Yes.
I was, when I got divorced, you talked about it. Even my new marriage, you said no prenup. Remember that? So right? I mean, you've been there for me as a voice of reason. Just that's so powerful. I mean, unsolicited, always real, raw. It's powerful, dude.
Well, Ken, I tell you, man, this has been so special, so rich. I want to thank you forever from the bottom of my heart. I want to say that I am super proud of you.
Wow.
And the best is yet to come.
I receive it, sir.
And so it is. Thank you, my friend. We'll be in touch.
Yes,
God bless.
all right.